The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to Tier Tuesday here, brought to you by the fellas at the HighLowSports podcast. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelcey. And Kelcey, we're here, Belly Up's YouTube page, and we now get to show everybody what Tier Tuesdays is all about. We've done it for 18 weeks of the NFL regular season. Now we're going to branch out and get into the wacky stuff now that the NFL season is over.
Yeah, it's time for the fun playoff / coaching / who knows where we're going to go with Tier Tuesdays. Now, it's not just based off of the performance of the weeks. If you guys haven't checked out Tier Tuesdays, the 18 weeks DJ mentioned, we ranked how every team performed each and every week. But we had some fun with it, obviously, this as you do with tiers. And we get to do it now for the open coaching vacancies. So we're going to do this at least, as of right now, once a month, but we're going to try to get a few more as we get to draft season. And who knows, maybe some basketball gets thrown in here as well. But yeah, no, I love doing Tier Tuesdays. This is really one of my favorite kind of outside of our normal show type of things.
Absolutely. And those who haven't seen it before, basically one of us puts together a tier and then drops it on the other one's head, and then they get to look at it. Then we go from there and see if we need any adjustments or tweaks or anything like that. So we're going to go and just get right into it. As we kind of alluded to, we're talking head coaching vacancies. There are 5 remaining now that the Raiders and the Patriots both replaced their coaches in-house. Lots of interviews going on, and the Titans, too. I forgot about the Titans bringing in Callahan, so that takes another one off. So we're down to 5. So here's what we're looking at right now. The ideal landing spot, we're going to go with the Washington Commanders. The reason we're going there, you got the number 2 overall pick. You got a good amount of cap space. You got toys to play with. You got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson, De'Ami Brown. You got something to work with there. You got to fix the big hogs up front, and defensively, you have to get somebody in the secondary. But you also got 2 defensive tackles, so if you need to trade one, you know what? You have something to work with there. A dang good situation. The Chargers are exclusively here because of Justin Herbert, because nothing else about that team is a good situation right now. The rest of it is a mess, salary cap-wise, age, injuries. That you have Justin Herbert and Rashawn Slater. The rest is, oh-ish, what are we going to do? But because you have Justin Herbert, pretty dang good. Some work to do about potential. The Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN. Defensively, they're actually pretty loaded. They just underperformed this year with Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, etc. They got some work to do. You got to figure out, can Geno bounce back, or because he didn't write all the way back last year, but he wrote some notes that were slipped around in class underneath the teacher's nose. Didn't write the full letter, but there were some notes slipped around. So got to figure that out. More work than the Seahawks, but still can't work Atlanta Falcons. You have everything except the 2 most important things, and that's a competent head coach and a quarterback. You have literally just about everything else. A good defense and skill positions out the wazoo. But the 2 most important things you are missing right now. And last year, they were in the negatives for both of those, basically. Like, they weren't just bad, they were negative, especially at head coach. And then the Panthers. They just get, if anyone's anyone who's a returning Tier Tuesday watcher from previous thing, the last few weeks, they get their own tier. They're a mess. They're going to get a head coach because there's 32 of them. Someone's going to take it. Someone's going to look at Bryce and be like, there's something to work with there. But God, it's a rough situation. And your owner, we've enough to be said about the owner. Then you don't even get your first overall pick that you earned. So it's a rough sledding out there for the Panthers, but someone's going to take it. I'll take it, honestly. But it's the least ideal of these remaining 5.
Okay, sorry, am I back now?
Yep, you're back now.
All right, here we go. So, okay, I'm gonna start at the top. I think you're right, though. I do think the best landing spot is Washington, flat out. I'm not gonna go in the middle yet. I'm gonna jump to the Panthers. Okay, yeah, them at the bottom. I will say they do get a little bit of a benefit because they do have a pretty young defense that is, if healthy, pretty good. So that's an aspect as well. But they're still the Panthers. I mean, you have a lot more issues there. They made a good move by bringing Dan Morgan in as the GM. I do like that option. Unfortunately, it's kind of a lot of the same that they've already dealt with. It's we'll see what they're able to do in the coaching carousel. But I mean, yeah, we'll see where that ends up. If it's my prediction, that they're not going anywhere. If it's anything close to your predictions, they're probably still not going anywhere. But they're gonna have a better chance. But they're still bottom of the barrel. So I do want to move some things around in the middle here because, first of all, I think a dang good situation is actually the Seahawks. I think there's more opportunity with the Seahawks given the fact they have a quality line, they have quality defenders, and they do have a high quality backfield and receiving core. Your biggest issue is you have to solve the quarterback issue, which is kind of the reverse of the Chargers. The Chargers on the other side, you pretty much have him. You have Justin Herbert. You have Austin Eckler, maybe if you can re-sign him. You have Rashawn Slater, and then you have a whole bunch of old cap pieces that are going to cause you to commit cap suicide in a way. So you have to figure out the way to deal with that. And I don't know if that's something a coach wants to come in on. So I like the Seahawks for being a dang good situation. Honestly, for me they're very close to the best landing situation because you do have so many pieces in place and a lot of them are returning. The thing keeping me there is that number 2 pick for Washington. You have Sam Howell. If it's not Bieniemy that takes the head coaching position, you could still have Eric Bieniemy as your OC.
Should have Eric Bieniemy as your head coach, but we digress.
Your receiving core, fantastic. Defensive line, not as good as it was at the beginning of this past year, still really good. There's some work to be done in that secondary, but the secondary pieces are there. But the big thing, obviously, you need to fix that offensive line. I think that's the big glaring issue, which is why I'm not totally sold on them being the best landing spot, but I do agree that right now I think it's safe to say they're the best landing spot, mostly because I'm hoping Eric Bieniemy gets that spot. Okay, so that then moves me to number 2. I think the Seahawks are the best, second best, which is a dang good situation. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to complain going to the Seahawks, having Pete Carroll as your player personnel GM and ahead of you. Yeah, the guy that can be to provide you all the help you need to make a successful team. And in reality, if you think back to his time in college, that's almost how he operated at USC, was in that advisory role as a head coach and he hired great coordinators. You kind of get the same vibe here that he's going to create. Well, he also was the one that first dubbed the head coach in waiting. I'm sorry, Mac Brown, that wasn't your duty. So you had that as your what is now a head coach in the NFL, and then you have your two coordinators. You have your OC DC, and that's the exact same way he had to set up in college. So I think there's a great situation, just quarterback. But honestly, as we've talked about, you can win in the NFL and you can win a Super Bowl, or at least get to a Super Bowl with a game manager. And as if if the rest of your team's great, you can win a Super Bowl with a game manager. And Geno Smith fits the bill. So yeah, I think they're a dang good situation. Like I said, the Chargers, there's so many issues with the Chargers. I'm gonna move them down one more because I think there is some work to do, but there's a lot of potential with Atlanta, especially with the coaches they're looking at. They're looking at 2 of the best out there. And whether it be Harbaugh, whether it be Belichick, which I hope to God it's Belichick, so I can put that in my highlight reel. But yeah, I think what they're building there, their defense, there's a lot of great pieces if you can get the right mind. Their offense, 3 first-round picks, 3 quality top-tier first-round picks if they could ever get the ball. We've seen what happens when Drake London's targeted. We've seen what happens when Kyle Pitts is targeted. We've seen what happens in spurts when they actually let Bijan Robinson run the ball for more than 1 carry in a row. Again, this one kind of falls in the same category where you have an issue at quarterback. It's not near as bad as all the other issues the Chargers are dealing with. So I feel like you can piecemeal your way through a season, or you trade up and get a high draft pick here and get a quarterback. I think there's a lot of options for Atlanta. So I do like them as a more potential filled team because also they're not in the same cap hell that you see with the Chargers. The Chargers are just honestly, they can almost go into their own category like the Panthers, just below everybody else and just like, wow, you guys really set yourself up for failure. So I think for now, I think this is the way I like it. I think Washington is the best landing spot. Dang good situation, still the Seahawks. The Falcons right there in the middle. It could go one way, it could go the other way. Some work to be done, but honestly, there's a lot of potential there, which should make Falcons fans happy and Saints fans cry. And then more work, but can work. You have a stalwart at quarterback. You have a fantastic quarterback. You have a fantastic guard / tackle in Rashawn Slater. You have one of the best safeties in the league in Derwin James. you have a young upstart corner who, in his own right, when healthy, probably one of the best young corners out there in a grouping of quality young corners. So there's a lot of pieces. There's just things that need to be done. Also, you have Dicker the kicker, so you win for that one just for the names rights. But yeah, there's so much work that needs to be done for that to work out.
That last little bit you said almost makes the Chargers have to move back up. Honestly, you might have talked them back up a spot with that.
No,
the kickers got to bump them up.
No. Here's the reason why they're in the AFC West. And I'm sorry, no matter what work you do to the roster, you still then have the work to do with an Antonio Pierce-led Raiders team, who, by the way, looks a fantastic hire, who would have been on this list if they were stupid enough not to hire him. You have, obviously, the Chiefs. You know about the Chiefs. And you have the Broncos, who we don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, but there's a lot of fun to be said there. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of issues there with the Chargers, and they're facing an uphill battle even when they fix them. So I like this right here, and then the Panthers, obviously, being their own category at the bottom, I'm okay with.
I will say that it's kind of funny when you look at them because Atlanta, you only really have one or two things to fix, and you're right in the thick of it. The problem is it's the most important things to fix, whereas the Chargers, you have the most important thing locked down, but you have so many extra holes. It's which one can be fixed easier, because the Falcons' hole is harder to fix, honestly. Like, you can win with a game manager, but it has to be one that fits. And we saw, like, not everyone can necessarily do that because they still do have to make the occasional play sometimes. Brock Purdy, for example, I think it's terrible as he played for most of Green Bay. When it came time to it, he made the plays necessary. So, like, I think if you can find Brock Purdy, Atlanta's looking awfully good. But if you're stuck with Taylor Heineke or Desmond Ridder again, well, good. Even Bill Belichick's not going to be able to finagle that one.
I'll go ahead and throw this out here. There's a guy that happens to be on one of the teams that's up here, who is a backup, who will probably not have a job come the fall, and he will be looking for a place to go. And he is a quality game manager, and he might just be somebody who played with Bill Belichick before. And if you don't know what I'm talking Jacoby Brissett. I think as far as what you're looking for in a stopgap type of fill-in, he could be the guy. We've already talked about his leadership on our show many a times. You know, the guy is the quintessential leader from the sidelines. Give him the opportunity. He proved it in Indy. He's a great stopgap. Similar to Gardner Minshew in a lot of ways, as far as the ability to be a stopgap. Not a full-time solution, but a stopgap. He can get you through 10, 15, 20 games. You don't want him to try to, like, lead your team, though, as a franchise quarterback, just because there are still some liabilities. But, yeah, I think, I mean, to your point, you know, Atlanta, I'd even say Seattle, maybe look at if Seattle decides not to go with Geno going forward, and not to go with Drew Lock, because for whatever reason there's issues with Drew Lock out there. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett might be the guy. So yeah, I think this is a list I like, and I like, don't get me wrong, I like your list, but this is how I see it as well.
I will say, especially those two middle ones with Seattle and Atlanta, if they are mostly Atlanta, if they're looking to change quarterback, they should be taking a look at Chicago. Like, so are we keeping Justin Fields, or is that number one pick up for debate? Because if the number one pick is up, we will give you everything besides those three. That, you know what, you take one of them, even you take Kyle Pitts and then a shitload of picks, and we're going to go get Caleb or Drake May. Or vice versa. Can we have Justin Fields? You could take a second-round pick or something like that. So that's someone that should keep an eye on it for sure.
I'm offering the same package and giving them two options in return. You give me the number one pick, or you give me Justin Fields. Your choice.
Knowing Atlanta, they will trade up and then go grab Marvin Harrison Jr. and still have another first-round weapon who will not get the ball.
Well, no, they got rid of Arthur Smith, so that won't be an issue.
His ghost will haunt them for at least one more year still. So whoever takes over next year is going to have to deal with that half mustache, half shaved mustache haunting them for just a little bit longer from afar.
That's why they go get and here's my concern with the Falcons. They hire Harbaugh, they go get JJ. We all are, and we'll talk about that. Actually, one of our tiers coming up will be our college quarterback rankings for the NFL draft. So we'll rank our college quarterbacks where they're coming out at in our eyes. So that conversation will come a little bit later, but right now I think that's my big concern for the Falcons. If they go Harbaugh and he goes and gets his boy McCarthy, there's a lot of issues there.
We're not going to get into that because that's a whole lot of concerns here, but this is what we're looking at for the head coaching vacancies as of today. Let us know what you think down below. And once again, go follow us on HighLowSports on just about everything. You can see the little banner at the bottom as well. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time to catch our live show, or anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcast. You can always catch us there as well, too. We'll see you all again next time.